Hello everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that many elderly friends are very concerned about: how to naturally prevent muscle loss after the age of 60. You may have also heard the saying that once people get old, their muscles will quietly shrink. Many people feel that they are walking more and more slowly, unable to carry things, and even finding it more difficult to get up or go up the stairs than before. This is not merely getting old, but rather the gradual loss of muscles in the body. In the past, we always thought that as long as we ate more eggs and more protein, we could keep our muscles from losing weight. Especially, many people like to eat egg whites because they are regarded as the representative of high-quality protein, with low fat, low calories, and high absorption rate. They're recommended by both fitness coaches and nutrition experts as a good thing. Recently, however, scientists have discovered that there's a kind of food that is even more nutritious than egg white and is more helpful for people over 60 to maintain their muscles and enhance their strength. That is fish protein, especially deep-sea fish. Why is it said that fish is better than egg white? First, let's take a look at the egg white. The egg white of an egg contains approximately 3 grams of protein, which can almost be completely absorbed and utilized by the human body. It is indeed of very high quality. However, apart from protein, egg whites contain almost no other nutrients, such as a lack of vitamin B12, D, and omega-3 fatty acids. And these substances precisely play an important role in the muscle health of the elderly. As we all know, muscles not only need protein for synthesis, but also a complete nutritional system to support them. For instance, vitamin D can promote protein metabolism and help muscle cells grow. Omega-3 fatty acids can reduce muscle inflammation and delay muscle atrophy. Vitamin B12 can make the nervous system healthier and facilitate smoother communication between the brain and muscles. So, when you only eat egg whites but do not take in these supplementary nutrients, the role of protein will actually be discounted. Scientists have conducted large-scale studies on the diet of the elderly in Japan and Northern Europe and found that those who often eat fish have significantly better muscle mass. People who consume an appropriate amount of fish protein every day have an average muscle strength that is over 20% higher than that of those who do not eat fish. What's more interesting is that these elderly people who eat fish have better physical flexibility, reaction speed, and even emotional state. Because the 2 omega-3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA, in fish not only have a protective effect on the brain, but also can inhibit chronic inflammatory responses in muscles and delay the occurrence of sarcopenia. In addition to fish, scientists have also found that several foods are equally effective in preventing muscle loss, such as soy products, milk, Greek yogurt, tofu, soy milk, shrimp, lean beef, and chicken breast. Among them, soy protein is the best in plant proteins. It is rich in leucine, an amino acid that can directly stimulate muscle synthesis. If the elderly can consume 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein every day and combine it with moderate exercise, the rate of muscle loss can be significantly slowed down. At this point, many people would ask, "I'm 60 years old. Can I still build muscles?" The answer is, of course you can. Although the hormone levels in the body decline and the ability to synthesize muscle slows down as one ages, this does not mean that muscles cannot grow. Scientific research has proved that as long as one has a reasonable diet, supplements high-quality protein, and combines it with light strength training, such as lifting small dumbbells, squats, brisk walking, and climbing stairs, muscle fibers can still grow. Moreover, the benefits of muscle building for the elderly are far more than just looking firmer. They also include improving balance, reducing the risk of falls, stabilizing blood sugar, promoting sleep, and delaying cognitive decline. So, after the age of 60, we need to change a mindset. It's not that one should be thin when old, but rather that one should be stronger when old. Maintaining muscles is equivalent to maintaining the quality of life. In the field of geriatrics in Japan, there's a very vivid saying: muscles are the bank of life. The more you save when you are young, the more you will have when you are old. But if one doesn't save enough when young, they will feel powerless in their old age. The good news is that even if you are 60, 70, or even 80 years old, As long as you start paying attention to your diet and exercise now, your muscles can still rebound. So, let's get back to today's topic. Which foods can help us prevent muscle loss in a natural state? The scientific community has presented a golden combination: fish plus beans plus milk plus eggs. When these four types of food are consumed in combination, they can almost provide all the nutrients needed to maintain muscles. Fish provide high-quality protein and omega-3. Soybeans supplement leucine and phytoestrogens. Dairy products bring calcium and vitamin D. And eggs complete the amino acid structure. If you consume at least 2 of these 4 types of food every day, along with a little fruit and vegetable, your body can maintain a good muscle metabolism environment. Of course, merely eating is not enough. One mistake that the elderly are prone to make is eating well but moving too little. Muscle is a tissue that uses it or loses it. If it is not used, it will be lost. No matter how much protein one consumes, it cannot be completely converted into muscle. Therefore, scientists suggest that people over 60 years old maintain at least 30 minutes of moderate to low-intensity activities every day, such as brisk walking, doing housework, stretching, and light strength training. If you can add resistance exercises twice a week, such as using resistance bands to train your arms and legs, the effect will be even more remarkable. In the process of preventing muscle loss, the proportion of diet is equally important. Many elderly friends have a misconception that consuming too much protein can cause internal heat or harm the kidneys, so they deliberately reduce their intake. In fact, such concerns are mostly unnecessary in most cases. For elderly people with normal kidney function, moderately increasing protein intake is actually the key to protecting muscles and delaying aging. Research has found that it is most appropriate for people over 60 to consume 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. In other words, if you weigh 60 kilograms, you need to consume about 60 to 72 grams of protein every day. It is easier to absorb it by evenly distributing it among 3 meals. For instance, for breakfast, you can have a cup of soy milk or milk with an egg. Have a piece of fish or lean meat for lunch and pair it with a small bowl of tofu. For dinner, have a serving of green vegetables with some shrimp or chicken breast. By the end of the day like this, not only is there enough protein, but also a variety of micronutrients can be consumed. Also, remember that the absorption efficiency of protein is related to the overall diet structure. Combining a small amount of carbohydrates, such as brown rice, oats, and sweet potatoes, can enable amino acids to better enter cells and be utilized by the body. In addition to consuming sufficient protein, we should also be cautious of another hidden killer, chronic inflammation. This may sound a bit abstract, but it is indeed one of the important reasons for muscle loss in the elderly. As people age, the body's immune system experiences a low-level and persistent inflammatory state, medically known as inflammatory aging. It won't cause you obvious fever or pain, but it will unconsciously damage muscle fibers, slowing down the synthesis rate and accelerating the decomposition rate. So how can we combat this chronic inflammation? Here, the benefits of deep-sea fish need to be mentioned again. The omega-3 fatty acids in fish, especially DHA and EPA, have powerful anti-inflammatory effects. They can lower the levels of inflammatory factors and help muscle cells regain vitality. Research has found that people who consistently consume deep-sea fish 2 to 3 times a week have significantly lower inflammatory indicators in their blood than those who do not eat fish. For friends who don't like fish or are worried about the fishy smell, fish oil capsules can also be chosen as a supplement, but it is best to use them under the guidance of a doctor or a nutritionist. Besides fish, there are also some natural anti-inflammatory foods, such as olive oil, nuts, green tea, turmeric, and blueberries. These foods are rich in antioxidants and can reduce the damage of free radicals to muscles. Especially walnuts and almonds, they not only contain healthy fats, but also provide additional plant protein. Eating a small handful every day is very beneficial for the cardiovascular system and muscles. However, it's important to pay attention to the amount. After all, nuts are high in calories. A small pinch, about 20 grams a day, is sufficient. At this point, some friends might ask, I'm getting old and my appetite isn't as good as before. What should I do if I can't eat so much protein? In fact, this problem is very common. The elderly, with their dulled sense of taste and weakened digestive ability, are indeed prone to eating less and having poor absorption. So we need to learn to eat carefully. That is, to eat small amounts frequently and choose high-density nutritious foods. For example, add a glass of milk, yogurt, or a small portion of soy products between meals. Chop the meat. Steam it until soft or make it into a stew. Use more tomatoes, ginger, scallions, mushrooms, and other seasonings to make the food more fragrant and appetizing. Moreover, studies have pointed out that elderly people who consume more protein at breakfast are particularly effective in preventing muscle loss. Because after getting up in the morning, the body has been consumed throughout the night, and the level of amino acids in the blood is relatively low. If protein is supplemented at this time, it can rapidly stimulate muscle synthesis. So don't just have plain porridge and chew steamed buns anymore. You might as well add some eggs, soy milk, or milk to make your breakfast a bit stronger. Let's talk about a key factor that many people overlook, vitamin D. This is not merely a vitamin for calcium supplementation. It also plays a decisive role in muscle strength. Vitamin D can help the receptors in muscle cells function properly and enhance the coordination between nerves and muscles. People lacking vitamin D tend to fall more easily and have slower reactions. As the elderly spend less time in the sun, their skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D also deteriorates, so they need to be particularly cautious. Getting 15 to 30 minutes of sun exposure every day, or eating some foods rich in vitamin D, such as salmon, sardines, egg yolks, and milk, are all good choices. If advised by a doctor, it is also appropriate to take vitamin D supplements. Let's summarize the key points again. To prevent muscle loss after the age of 60, the core lies in three things: consuming sufficient protein, following an anti-inflammatory diet, and supplementing vitamin D. These three aspects complement each other, and none can be dispensable. Eating protein is to provide raw materials for muscles. An anti-inflammatory diet is designed to reduce losses. Vitamin D acts like a commander, ensuring that muscle cells are properly installed. Of course, there is another hidden nutrient worth mentioning: magnesium. Magnesium not only participates in muscle contraction, but also helps the body make better use of proteins and energy. Many elderly people experience leg and foot cramps, which are actually caused by magnesium deficiency. Nuts, green leafy vegetables, oats, and bananas are all good sources of magnesium. If you pay attention to taking in a little every day, your muscles will be more relaxed and stronger. If you eat right, take adequate supplements, and engage in moderate activities, your muscles will naturally last longer. Scientists describe the muscles of the elderly as a tree. As long as the roots are firm and the branches are vigorous, the leaves will not wither easily. After understanding what to eat can help prevent muscle loss, we also need to realize that how to eat is equally important. Many elderly friends have maintained the habit of having 3 meals a day for decades. They eat less in the morning, have a casual lunch, and actually eat more in the evening. Such a diet structure is actually not conducive to maintaining muscles. Scientific research has found that the synthesis of muscles requires a trigger point, and this trigger point comes from a key amino acid leucine. When the protein intake in each meal is insufficient, the leucine level does not reach the threshold that stimulates muscle growth. In simple terms, if you only have half a steamed bun and a bowl of porridge for breakfast, even if you replenish a lot at noon, your muscles will still be in a lost state during the morning. So the ideal way is to evenly distribute protein in 3 meals a day. Every meal should have a high-quality source of protein. For example, a glass of milk and an egg for breakfast, a serving of fish or tofu for lunch, and some shrimp or chicken breast for dinner. In this way, the body can continuously receive sufficient amino acid supply, and the engine for muscle synthesis can also remain on all the time. In addition, many people also overlook the importance of water. Approximately 70% of the components in muscles are water. When the body is slightly dehydrated, muscle cells will shrink, and metabolism will also slow down. The elderly often do not feel thirsty until their throats are dry, but by then it is actually too late. It is recommended to drink at least 1,500 milliliters of water every day, in small portions and gradually. Special attention should be paid to replenishing water before meals and before and after exercise. If you find plain water alone boring, you can also have some light tea, lemonade, or clear soup. When it comes to sports, many friends over 60 frown at the word exercise, thinking that their bones are old and their legs and feet are not as agile, and they are worried about getting injured during sports. In fact, as long as you choose a way that suits you, exercise can actually nourish your muscles. The key is to proceed step by step and act within one's capacity. For instance, brisk walking for 30 minutes every day is the simplest, safest, and most effective form of exercise. Brisk walking not only exercises the leg muscles, but also promotes blood circulation and improves heart and lung function. If you add some light strength training, such as lifting a water bottle, doing leg lifts while sitting on a chair, or doing half squats against the wall, it can all stimulate muscle growth. Strength training is particularly important for the elderly because it directly acts on skeletal muscles. Even just carrying 2 bottles of mineral water can generate sufficient resistance to stimulate the muscle fibers. If you persist in doing it 2 to 3 times a week for 15 to 20 minutes each time for a month, you will find that you walk more steadily, no longer pant when going up the stairs, and even sleep more soundly at night. Of course, it is important to warm up before exercising, such as moving joints, rotating wrists and ankles, and gently stretching the body to prevent strains. After exercising, it is also necessary to do relaxation exercises to relieve muscle tension. If you have chronic diseases such as hypertension, heart disease, or arthritis, it is best to consult a doctor or rehabilitation therapist first and choose the appropriate intensity and program. Apart from physical exercise, mental state is also an invisible factor for maintaining muscle health. Psychological research has found that maintaining positive emotions and social activities can significantly reduce muscle loss. It may sound unrelated, but in fact, there's a close connection between emotions and muscles. Long-term anxiety, depression, or loneliness can cause the body to secrete more cortisol, a stress hormone that promotes muscle breakdown and inhibits synthesis. When people are in a good mood and have a regular life, the levels of growth hormone and testosterone secreted by the body will relatively increase, and the muscle recovery ability will also be stronger. So chatting more with friends, taking walks in the community, dancing in the square, and growing flowers and plants are all good ways to maintain physical and mental health. There's a very interesting Japanese study. They followed thousands of people over 70 years old and found that those who interacted with others every day and kept smiling had an average muscle strength 15% higher than those who were lonely. This indicates that happiness is actually a kind of nutrient, which can help the body absorb energy better and maintain vitality. In addition, getting sufficient sleep is also very crucial. During deep sleep, the human body secretes growth hormone, which is the golden time for muscle repair and regeneration. The elderly often suffer from insomnia or wake up early. If they sleep for less than 6 hours a day, the speed of muscle repair will slow down. It is recommended to maintain a regular schedule as much as possible. Avoid drinking tea, coffee, or watching stimulating TV programs before going to bed. You can listen to light music or soak your feet to gradually relax your body and nerves. There's another small detail that is often overlooked: the timing of protein supplementation. Research has found that supplementing protein within 30 minutes after exercise leads to the highest efficiency in muscle synthesis. This period of time is called the synthesis window. So, after exercising, drinking a glass of milk, soy milk, or having some yogurt can not only replenish water, but also help muscles recover. For some elderly people with poor teeth and difficulty chewing, soft foods such as protein powder, milkshakes, or tofu soup can be chosen. The key point is to ensure that nutrients can be absorbed, rather than merely eaten in form. Remember one sentence: the key to nutrient absorption does not lie in how much you eat, but in how much you take in. Let's talk about the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine. According to traditional Chinese medicine, The kidneys govern the bones, and the tendons are nourished by the liver. When kidney qi is abundant and liver blood is vigorous, muscles will naturally be strong and powerful. Muscle atrophy in many elderly people is actually related to insufficient kidney qi and deficiency of qi and blood. Therefore, one can consume more foods that nourish blood and qi in daily life, such as black beans, wolfberries, yams, sesame seeds, astragalus, etc. Drinking a moderate amount of bone soup or chicken soup can also have a warming and tonifying effect. However, it should be reminded here that although soup is nutritious, don't forget to subscribe and like, so you won't miss the next video. We'll delve into more daily foods that can quietly improve your health from the inside out. Please take good care of your physical strength before we meet next time. Your morning should not only be delicious, but also help you build an ideal body and protect your ideal life with food.